What's going on, everybody? So I have a story I want to tell, and I don't know what's more scary, my story or my ping pong skills. But for something to watch, here's a little video I made a while ago of just me and my roommate playing ping pong. It's something to watch while I tell the story, so you're not staring at a blank screen. Though occasional pictures to go along with my story will pop up here and there. But otherwise, enjoy the story. For anyone that's really close to me, they know that I have an abundance of paranormal stories. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't believe in any sort of paranormal, and that's fine. Because I really didn't when I was younger, too, until I had my first paranormal experience. Now, I've had paranormal experiences that range from spirits, ghosts, to even UFOs. Crazy thing is like I said, I have an abundance of stories, more than I can count on my fingers. When it's rough for someone to even come up with one paranormal story. And the weird thing is, like I was gonna say, is that majority of my experiences happened within a range of 2 to 3 months. So I want to talk about one story in particular, since I'm not going to have time to tell all of my stories right now in this video at least. But this story is one that is significant because it was a defining moment for me to see how powerful these forces can be, and how much of a powerful influence they can have on our reality. So I used to work and ride my dirt bike at a place called Motown, USA, which opened up in my hometown. I don't know, maybe it was like 2005, 2006. It was supposed to be, and I believe was, the largest indoor motocross track in the world. You know, it collapsed in 2011 due to a snowstorm and is no longer open, but, you know, it was pretty popular while it was open. Now, I used to ride there and I used to work there. I only worked there for about a year. My dad worked there for almost the whole time it was open, because my dad, for years, was a paramedic. He was chief and assistant chief and chief of the ambulance where I live in our hometown. So knowing some people that worked and were very involved in Motown USA, he landed the job as the head medic there. So he was there all the time. He also did other things on top of being a medic. You know, he helped maintain the track. He helped close the place at night. A lot of things. Anyways, when he started working there really late and had to end up closing, he would be the last person there, if not there with one other person that would close up with him. Now, when he started this position, they told him, hey, look, if you hear any weird things, if you hear like doors shut, if you hear people talking, if you feel like you get touched, this place is haunted. So don't mind it. We experience it all the time. And my dad, not really being a big believer, but my dad's, you know, he's skeptical, but he's very open-minded to these things. So he's like, yeah, okay, all right, you know. He didn't, like, shut down the idea, but he took it to heart, and he actually came home and told me and my brothers about it, what they had said. So, you know, every night when my dad would come home late after closing, we'd be like, did you hear anything? Did you hear anything? Anything happened? He'd be like, no, nothing happened. Until about a month of him closing up, he finally came home one night and he was like, you wouldn't believe what happened. And, you know, we're like, oh my God, what? So he tells us the story, and it was about a half hour after everyone should have been gone. He was watering the track and he heard someone talking around the corner. And it was clearly in English, but he couldn't make out what they were saying, and it was two males. So he walked around the corner to go tell these guys that they needed to leave and that they were supposed to be gone a half hour ago, only to his surprise, when he got around the corner, there was nobody there. So he went back to doing what he was doing until this happened again, and he walked back around the corner, noticed nobody was there. He went outside, walked around the premises, nobody was around. He was the only person on the whole premises of Motown, and he just thought that was weird. So after that, every once in a while, he would hear doors shut, people talking, just weird things would go on. So he asked if me and my friends wanted to come and ghost hunt at night, and he'd shut off all the lights for us, and we could walk around. We did this a couple times, and we thought we'd experience things, but we weren't really sure. Until a couple of times we really experienced some crazy stuff, which I'll get into another time. I'm just kind of giving you the background to my main story, which I'm going to get into. But anyways, I would say a year had gone by, which it now leads into the 3-month span of me having really crazy paranormal experiences. Like I said, it wasn't everything I've experienced happened in these 3 months, but this was the majority of all of my experience that I've had. Anyways, well, one day, this also happened within this 3 months, this incident I'm going to tell you right now. What happened was I was riding one day, and there was a guy there who was riding, pretty over his head. He was going really, really fast. He was a good rider, don't get me wrong. But for the track, I don't think he really knew the track that well. It's very slippery. Anyways, this dude overshot a tabletop. And this is what a tabletop looks like right here if you're watching the video. I'll draw out what he did, which resulted in his death. I was on the track, and I remember him flying by me like, oh my God, so fast. And I was even thinking to myself, like, geez, that guy is going crazy. He's going nuts. And as I go around the corner, I go off this jump, I'm looking, and everyone's running over to the other side of the track. And I see the yellow flags come out, which mean caution, because somebody went down and you have to slow down. They were stopping all the bikes, and I could see that somebody had fallen. And I see my dad running over to this guy. So when me and my friends put our bikes down, we run over there, only to see that this guy's bleeding from his head, and his blood was dripping down the side of a berm. A berm is a dirt turn on a track that he had hit his head on. Only to find out later that he had smashed his brains. I mean, he cracked his helmet open and he cracked his skull. And I remember my dad was holding this guy's head, and the blood was just dripping down his neck onto the ground. And there was a pool of blood on the track. The ambulance came and took him away, and he was pronounced dead at the hospital. Anyways, after a couple weeks had gone by, we had gone ghost hunting, and we would call out to this guy, and we would hear like weird engine sounds in the background. When I'd call out to this guy, asking if his spirit was there and whatnot, but nothing really too crazy happened. Okay, so it's been a year at this point in my story since we had, gone around there ghost hunting and whatnot. And the roof had collapsed at this point due to that heavy snowstorm that we got in like 2011, I believe. So I was hanging out at my house with some friends, and we decide, so let's go ghost hunting there. I had 3 people that have never had a ghost experience, and they wanted to see if we could try to experience something. So I said, okay, let's go. We get there about 1 in the morning. We're walking around the track and stuff. The whole back is opened up now because of the main shell that was around the track had collapsed, but the main building was still there, the brick building. So we walk around the track, and at this point, the ghost hunting wasn't as good because it was easier when you weren't exposed to the elements and you were cooped up inside the big shell and things echoed and you could hear everything. And there's a lot more contamination now. I would like sound contamination from the exposed elements, if you will. But if you still are careful and optimistic and skeptical, you can still, look in here for some weird stuff, and you will experience some weird things there. Anyways, we end up standing 10 feet away from where the guy had died. Remind you, 2 guys have died there, but we experienced paranormal things there before these guys had died, and I believe since they have died there, it's only gotten worse. So we end up standing 10 feet by where you died, and we're leaning up against a railing. And one of my friends tells me to tell the story of what I experienced with the day the guy died. So I start telling the story, and as I am, it sounds like you can hear the engine of a dirt bike out in the distance, which was really weird. I mean, this was 1 a.m, and yes, we were exposed to the elements. There's a road right there, but it sounded very faint, and it was just eerie, and it was like, it sounded the way that it sounded the other times I've heard it when we were cooped inside the shell before it had collapsed. It was noticeable enough to where one of my friends is like, you're telling the story, is making things happen. Like, keep telling the story, keep telling the story. So I keep telling the story, and as I get to the point of where the guy had hit his head, literally, I would say a good 10 feet from me, and to make this known, it was me and 3 other people standing on a railing, and I was first, and then it went another person to the right of me. So to the left of me, about 10 feet, there was the biggest bang on the railing, and the railing vibrated with the intensity of the bang, and you could hear the sound. It was literally like if this guy who crashed rode his bike into the railing instead of the ground. That's how intense the sound and the vibration of the railing was, as if somebody had hit it. Like literally this guy, okay, picture him going 50 miles an hour over a jump and then smashing into the railing 10 feet from us while we were leaning on that railing. Imagine the intensity of the thing shaking and the noise that would make, the bang that would make. That's how intense it was. Immediately, we all jumped up, fucking hightailed it out of there. For me, that was the most intense experience I've ever had, because I got to see the force that these spirits can manifest if they want to. On our way home, everyone's kind of is really freaked out, but, one of my friends being skeptical, like saying that I had kicked the railing, okay, which we actually went back another time, and the same thing happened, but it was about, a good, 50 yards down the railing from us instead of 10 feet away. Same exact thing, though. But with that time, the next time we had gone back where it happened about, 50 yards away, I'm kicking the thing. I'm kicking it, and I'm showing my friend, this is not the intensity of it. I cannot kick it anywhere near that amount of force to make it shake and make the bang that it was. And he's trying to kick it too. We're all trying to kick it, and, it just could not be replicated. So, that's pretty much what happened that night. It was insane. That was a very defining moment for me, like I said, and for my friends who had never experienced anything. I'm so glad that they got to experience something. Every time I go there, I try to show the utmost respect for these spirits, because with my experience, I believe that they can and will follow you home unless you ask them not to. I asked all of my friends to make it very well known while we were there that these spirits were not allowed to follow them home. I'll go into more of my ghost stories where I talk about spirits that I believed followed me home from other times I went ghost hunting. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this little ghost story. Like I say, you don't have to believe any of this. I have other witnesses that were there with me at this point. I maybe it wasn't paranormal. It's just very weird how things played out. There's really no explanation whatsoever for something hitting that railing. Just crazy. Nuts. I mean, if anybody wants to go there with me, I'm willing to take somebody there, go somewhere else. If anybody wants to try to go ghost hunting, I'm always down to try to bring believers into this, because there are a lot of people that don't believe this, but I can tell you straight up, once you realize and acknowledge that there are greater forces than we, high up our high horse humans think we know everything about anything. Once you realize that we know nothing and that there are greater forces out there, it's amazing. Your whole view on life changes, and it's made me so much more of a better person for experiencing these things, as scared shitless as they've made me at the times. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this story. Regardless of how many people listen to this, I'm going to make more. For me personally, I want to get these recorded so, years from now, I can fully remember what happened. I'm already starting to forget. Most of these things happened a good 4 or 5 years ago. 3, 4, 5 years ago. I haven't really experienced much since. But yeah, again, I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to contact me with any questions about the story. Thanks for listening.